Alright, Year 6, it's time for your maths lesson today, and we are learning to calculate the perimeter and area of a shape. So it is a consolidation of what we've been doing over the last week or so, looking at perimeter and looking at area. And today what we're going to do, we're going to find both the perimeter and the area of a shape. Okay, so we will look at some different shapes, and in each shape we'll find the perimeter and the area of that shape. Okay, so first of all we will have a look at this shape, this rectangle, and we'll be looking at the perimeter and the area of this shape. So first of all we will find the perimeter, and we will use, for that one, let's use pink for that one. So we'll be finding P for perimeter. Now remember, perimeter is the distance around the edge of the shape. So if I was to walk along this edge of the shape, how long would that distance be? If I was to break that shape up and to stretch it all out, how long would that distance be? So to do that, if you have any missing sides, we need to calculate what those lengths are to do that first of all. Now this bottom one is 10 centimetres, which means the one that is opposite it over here, because these are parallel, will also be 10 centimetres. This one down here is 6 centimetres, so the one that is opposite it, that is parallel to it, will also be 6 centimetres. Now at this point what we can do is just add up all of these numbers. So make a little marker in the corner so we make sure everything gets counted once and only once. 10 add 6 is 16. If we add another 10 onto that, gets us to 26. Add another 6 onto that, gets us to 32. So the perimeter of the shape is 32 centimetres because we've just added them all up. Now if we were to find the area of the shape, I'll do this in blue, find the area of the shape this time. Now the area is different, remember, the area is the number of squares within the shape. So if I was to do 10 lines down here and 6 across here, how many individual squares would there be within this shape? Now we talked about how time consuming it is to draw all of these lines down here. To do that, there's a far easier way, and that is to multiply the width by the height. 10 times 6. The width is 10, the height is 6. 10 times 6 is 60. The unit of measurement is centimetres. And remember, we write squared because it is the number of squares within this shape. So for perimeter, remember we need to find the distance of all the edges. For the area, all we need is the width and the height, and to multiply them together. So for this shape, the perimeter is 32 centimetres, the area is 60 centimetres squared. Remembering to put this because it's really important, it shows the number of squares within that shape. So if I were to write out a new one, still using this shape, still using this rectangle, and do you think you could have a go at finding both the perimeter and the area of this shape for me? So if I make this one, let's make it metres this time, if I make that 8 metres and I make this one 5 metres, could you work out for me what the perimeter is? Remember the distance around the edge, so you'll need to find these missing sides, and the area. So you might want to pause the video there, Year 6, whilst you calculate this, and then I'll tell you how it should have been done in a minute. Right, so let's have a look at finding what the perimeter is first of all, this shape, the distance around the edge. So if this is 8 metres along here, the opposite one also has to be 8 metres. If this is 5 metres here, the opposite also has to be 5 metres. And then all we need to do is simply add them up. Remember, you can start in this corner, but as long as you remember to add every one, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do this time, 5 and 5, let's use our number bonds, it's nice and straightforward. 5 and 5 is 10, add this other 8 is 18, and then add the other 8 to 18 gets us to 26. So the perimeter is 26. 26 what? We need to make sure that we write down the unit of measurement, which is metres. So the perimeter of this shape is 28 metres. Now looking at the area this time, remember how to calculate the area. It's the width times by the height. This is the number of squares within the shape. So I was to draw 8 lines down here and 5 lines across here, how many individual squares would there be? Incredibly time consuming to draw those lines, so we can just do 8 multiplied by 5 to get us to 40. 40 metres is a unit of measurement, and the number of squares in the shape, that's why we write squared. So hopefully you got to those answers. The perimeter was 26 metres, the distance around the edge, and the area was 40 metres squared. So when it's a rectangle like that, it's reasonably straightforward because it's just multiplying the width by the height of the area, and the perimeter is finding the missing sides and then adding them up. When you have a shape like this, it is a slightly more complex, a little bit trickier, because you can see clearly it's not a rectangle, is it? We've got a 6-sided shape here. It's actually a hexagon. It's an irregular hexagon because all of the sides are different lengths. So remembering though, the perimeter is still the distance all the way around the edge. That's what perimeter is. And if we look at every single edge here, we can see that all the sides are actually labelled here. You don't need to calculate any missing sides because I've put all the sides on for you, because it's the first time we've looked at a shape like this looking for the perimeter and the area. So remembering perimeter, what we need to do, we need to add up all of these sides. Remember, you can make a marker in the corner, or you can add up using number bonds. Looking at some of these, I think using number bonds might be the way forward. So if we add 5 and 5, that takes us to 10. Let's add this other 10 to take us to 20. If we add these two together, this equals 20 as well, so that'll be 40. Add the other 4 will get us to 44 metres. So the perimeter of this shape is 44 metres. The unit of measurement here is metres, so it's 44 metres. So you could also have made a little marker in the corner somewhere and added them up as you went, but just looking at those numbers, I knew that lots of those would make number bonds to 10 or 20, and it makes it just a little bit easier, doesn't it? Just you've got to remember to make sure that you do add up every single number once. So the perimeter was 44 metres. Now if we were to find the area now, slightly more complex. Now to do this, we could split this shape up into 2 separate rectangles. So we can split it 2 ways. I could split it across here to have this rectangle here and this one down here, or I could split it down here to have this rectangle and this one here as well. So the 2 different ways that you could have done this. So let's have a look at this first one. And then we've got rectangle 1 here and rectangle 2. So we will work out the area of both of these and then add them together. So let's look at this one first, completely ignoring this second one down here. So if we're looking at this, if this was just the shape here, it is 4 across, the width is 4, the height is 5. So 4 times by 5 would be 20 metres squared. So that is the area of this smaller rectangle up here. Now if we were to look at this one down here now, the rectangle 2, we can see, can't we, that it is 12 times by 5. It's not, don't get confused with this 8 along here, because that 8 isn't the full width, is it? It is the 12 that is going along the bottom down here. This 10, it's not this 10 because that's been split up as well. It is the full width along here, which is 12, and then the full height of here of this rectangle, which is 5. So 12 times 5 is 60. And then what do we need to do now? We need to add up the 2 rectangles, don't we? 60 and 20 is 80. 80 metres squared. So that is the area of that complete shape, and we've split it up. Now I could have split it along this way, but it would have still got us to 80 metres squared. So if we look at another one, year 6. So it's a similar type shape, except the point is on the other side this time. So we're going to find the perimeter and the area again. So first of all, I will help you to find the missing sides. We can see we've got a side missing here, and we've got a side missing at the top. So I will help you find the missing sides, and then I will ask you to find, I will ask you to find the perimeter of the shape, and I'll ask you to find the area of this shape as well. So let's find the missing sides first. So if this length down here is 8 centimetres and this one is 4, that will tell us what this one is. If the complete one is 8 and this is 4, 8 take away 4, this side here will be 4 as well. Now we're looking for this missing one over here. If this long one is 8 and this one here is 5, 8 take away 5, this one here will be 3 centimetres. So year 6, you could pause the video there and you can try to find the perimeter by adding up all these numbers, and then you can find the area by splitting the shape. You can split the shape 2 ways, but let's all split it this way. Okay, we'll split it this way into this rectangle here and this rectangle here as well, and I will show you, I'll prove to you, and I will do it that way. But if you could do it this way, then I'll show you that the other way would have worked as well. So if you want to pause the video there, year 6, have a go at finding the perimeter and the area. Okay then, year 6, so let's find the perimeter first of all, remembering adding up all of these numbers. So let's make a little marker here and go around and add. So 8 at 8 is 16, add 4 is 20, add 5 is 25, add 4 is 29, add 3 is 32. So the perimeter of this shape is 32. The unit of measurement is centimetres, 32 centimetres. Remember, we're not going to put squared here because it's not the number of squares within the shape, it is the distance around the edge. The distance around the edge of this shape is 32 centimetres. So to look for the area of this shape now, we've split this shape up into 2 separate rectangles. This one here, it's not 8, is it? Because it's been split. It is 4 times by 3, which is 12 centimetres squared. And if I look at the second one down here, you can ignore this 5 and ignore this 8 because this 5 isn't the complete length and this 8 has been split. So it's looking at this complete width and this complete height, which is 8 times by 4, which is 32 centimetres squared. And then we need to add the 32 to the 12 to get us to 44 centimetres squared. Hopefully year 6 you got to those answers as well, with 32 centimetres for the perimeter and 44 centimetres squared for the area. Now what I'll do at this point, year 6, I'll prove to you that it doesn't matter which way you split your shape, we should still now get to 44 centimetres. So we've got 2 rectangles here. We've got this one here and now this one here going up. So let's prove that the whole area is 44. So if we look at this one now the width is 5 and the height is 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. And we're looking now at this one here. It should hopefully get us to 24, because 20 at 24 is 44, but let's see. The width is 3, the height is 8, 8 times 3 is 24. And then we know if we add 24 or 20, it gets us to 44. So you can see there, year 6, it doesn't matter which way you split your shape, it still gets the same answer. Okay, so the final one we will have a look at today, year 6, before you have a go at some of your own, is this one. It is a slightly trickier shape, but you know, you're in year 6 and you've really impressed me with your work so far, so let's have a go at this. So first of all, we'll pause the video twice this time. We'll pause the video in a moment, and what I'd like you to do is see if you can calculate what these missing sides are. So we've got a missing side down here, as well as one here and one here. So you've got 3 missing sides to find, 1, 2, 3. So have a go at finding the missing sides first, and then put the video back on again, and then I'll talk you through what the missing sides are, and then you can try to find the perimeter, and then you can try to find the area. So pause the video now to find the missing sides. Right, so let's have a look at this long one down here. If this long one down here is 8 centimetres, the one opposite also has to be 8 centimetres. So we found one. Now, if we have a look at this one here, it's the same size as this. If this is 3 centimetres, the one opposite will also be 3 centimetres. This is probably the trickiest one to find here, this one going across, because we need to look at these other ones that are going across here. This 10 centimetres, this 4, and this 4 too. So if the whole length, width across, if I do this from here to here, if I make a little dotted line across there, we know that's 10 because it's the same as this side. So take away this 4 and this 4 from 10 is 2. So that dotted line has to be 2 centimetres. That dotted line is the same size as this dotted line, so this has to be 2 centimetres as well, doesn't it? Now you can see this isn't drawn to scale at all. This is far bigger than it would be normally, and you can see that doesn't really look like the same. They look similar, but not drawn to scale. So hopefully you got those missing sides year 6. Now at this point you can begin to find your perimeter. So you'll stop the video in a minute to try to find the perimeter, and you can try to find the area. Now with the area, there are a few different ways you could do this. You could split your shape across like this into 3, 1, 2, 3. You could split your shape down this way as well, 1, 2, 3. Or I think there's a more efficient way, and we did look at this, doing this and finding the area of this small shape and finding the area of the large rectangle, including that, and then taking it away. So we'll do that way as well as splitting it up year 6. So find the perimeter and find the area, have a go, pause the video there, have a go at this for me. Okay, so the perimeter then year 6 member is just adding up all of these numbers. So let's make a marker in the corner. Let's go around and add these up. So 4 add 3 is 7, add 2 is 9, add 3 is 13, is 12. Then we go on to add this 4 to get us to 16, add on this 8 to get to 24, 34, and then finally we're at 34 and we need to add this 8 on to get us to 42 centimetres. So the perimeter of the shape is 42 centimetres. We've just added up all of those numbers. Now the area is trickier. So let's first of all look at this method that I talked about here by creating one big rectangle. Now the big rectangle here, if this was a big rectangular shape and this bit wasn't here, would be 10 times by 8, which would be 80 centimetres squared. But we have to take away this smaller shape here, don't we, which is 2 times by 3, which is 6. So we'd have to subtract the 6 to get us to an area of 74 centimetres squared. So can you see how it's quite an efficient method, that one year 6, by boxing it out and making it a full rectangle, just taking away this one. Now that way works quite nicely for this, but let's have a go at splitting the shape up. So let's split it across this way, because I think that's probably the next easiest way of doing it. So we split it into 1, 2, 3. So we need to work out the area of these 3 rectangles, add them up, and it should hopefully get us to 74 as well. So if we find the area of number 1, 4 times by 3 is 12 centimetres. We can work out this one as well, because it's going to be the same. 4 times by 3 is also 12 centimetres. And if we work out this one down here now, this is why it can be a bit trickier, because we need to work out another side here, don't we? Because this is the area that we are measuring, and that one is 8. But this one is 3. 8 take away 3 is 5. So this area size here is 5. So 10 times by 5 gets us to 50 centimetres squared, and we just need to add these 3 numbers in blue now. 50 or 12 is 62, adding the 12 is 74 centimetres squared. So you can see year 6, a couple of different ways of working this one out. So quite a bit of maths involved there, year 6. But if you can have your very best go at these, remember myself and Mrs. Rowe are available to help you out online. And if you really are struggling, don't worry too much, because when we are back in school, which hopefully will be soon, we will go over this again. But good luck with this year 6.